There's watering. I better go get the eggs, but yep, there they go. So I'm planting tomato plants. These are beefsteaks. What I decided to do this year, usually I do mostly heirlooms, but what I decided to do, because the last 2 years it was really, really hot, we didn't get a lot of rain, and my heirlooms really, really didn't work out well. So what I decided to do was plant some, well, that, and we really need to re-up like our sauce and salsa and stuff. So I decided to do production. So I did beefsteaks, and then in that row in front of there is going to be, we have beefsteaks here, Rutgers in the row in front of that, and then the front row is my heirlooms. So I did just a variety of heirlooms and 2 cherry tomatoes on the end because we don't eat a ton of cherries. So that's what I did for this. Right now I'm planting in my beefsteaks. So I've done half the bed. I had these ones here, so I'll kind of show you what I'm doing if I can get a hold of this. So I generally speaking, I don't know where that came off of, but okay. I generally speaking will measure with this, like just, I'll lay this down and then at the end of one plant and then plant the other one down here roughly. But since this is the center of the bed, I just kind of plant it on either side of this board. And then I will just dig a fairly deep hole. It doesn't have to be like super deep, but I want to plant them pretty deeply. So we'll do that and then take it out of the cup. So okay, so I took it out of the cup and I picked any lower stems off of it that would touch or go under the soil surface. And then we're going to push it up and we're going to, this is kind of hard to do with one hand, but basically we're going to push the soil in around the stem, pulling it up so that it stands the tomato plant up. And yeah, I don't know if this is recording. I think it is, but my screen is so dark. Like I said, I'll plant about to the end of this here. So I'll put my next hole like right there-ish. And then I'll just do that the rest of the way down. And in these, my beds are 4 feet by 12 feet. In these 12-foot beds, I put about 8 tomato plants, 2 per bed on one side. So, and then on the opposite side this year, I'm planning on putting green beans all on all 3 beds of the tomatoes. Eventually I'd like to, this is crazy, so ignore, but my weed fabric blew up and I need to re-tack it down and we need to mow first. But I want to put 2 really long beds here to put tomatoes in eventually. We'll see. This is the Napa Chardonnay, Isis Candy, Paul Robeson, Aunt Ruby's, I believe Kellogg's Breakfast, Dr. Witchy's, Vintage Wine, Pineapple. And then the second row here is Rutgers, and that back there is beefsteaks. So, I apologize, my neighbors are mowing, but I wanted to show you this method I'm going to attempt, and you guys can, I don't know, this was an idea I had because I saw these baskets at the Dollar Tree. These are just like little waste paper baskets, you know. They have littler ones, which I think I showed you those when I put them over the seedlings. I got these taller ones to put over top of my tomatoes after I planted them in, and just until they get a little bit larger and more established in the bed so that the chickens can't just easily scratch them out. So what I'm doing out here right now is just putting them over the top of each tomato plant, not like really intensely or anything, we're just placing them over top so that when the chickens come over here and they start scratching in my garden bed, as they inevitably always do, we can just cover the tomatoes, and the tomatoes are not going to be scratched on at the base or on the plant at all. Now granted, these aren't going to last a super long time on top of these tomato plants. However, they will, or should rather, get them to the point where they are established enough that they won't kill them when they scratch around them. Plus, bonus of this, I want to mulch these, and the only way I could think to get these beds mulched without fear of them tearing up my tomatoes, because that's what happened to me last year, is when I started to mulch like with the straw in these beds, with the tomatoes specifically, they tore out like several of my tomato plants. I think I had to replant like at least 1 or 2 whole rows. So yeah, I think this will work, and I have them on all 3 beds. So this bed, that bed, and the one that Blondie is in on the other side over here. We'll go over there and you can see You can't see these ones as much because they're black. I bought just whatever they had. So I bought the white ones and then I just bought the rest black. But yeah, so they do this. And I don't necessarily mind my chickens being in the garden. It kind of keeps some pest pressure down and stuff. It's just when it comes to actual time to plant things, they make it difficult sometimes. So I want to mulch these. I'm going to go get mulch probably tomorrow and come out here and mulch these. And I went ahead and, I think I said this, but I went ahead and mulched these 2 beds and didn't plant anything in them just to let them like scratch them out for a bit. And the only thing in this bed are my Sunflower Steve sunflowers. So I think they'll be okay. I can always put one of those smaller cloche things on top. And then they should be all right. And then mulch all of this. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Blondie, what are you doing? Blondie. Blondie, what are you doing, madam? You leave that alone. That does not belong to you. Madam Chicken. I do love the Brahmas. They're really beautiful. But anyway, I think in these beds with the tomatoes, I'm going to put green beans on this side of all 3 beds. So I need to get this mulched so that I can get this planted. And then I have all of my peppers and a bunch of herbs on my porch. The beds on the ends down there, I'm going to put okra back in, but I may actually move the okra like down here or something. And then, I don't know, we'll figure it out. I need to, or maybe I'll put the okra over there on that side. These trellises need to be planted. I need to replant some on the other arches on the other side. And then get my peppers in. I guess my peppers are going to go in those 2 beds down there. The ones that I've already mulched. I had my hot peppers in that bed last year. And then I had my sweet peppers on that far bed back there. I don't think it really mattered, to be honest. But yeah, the only thing that's growing right now, I just planted my tomatoes. I had to replant 2 of them because they got broken, which is why I went ahead and went to buy those. The only thing that's really growing fabulously is my oregano, which smells delightful. We love herbs. I want to have eventually, I have this dream of having like a whole herb garden, medicinal and culinary, and just having like beds designated for specific herbs for harvesting. And yeah, it's a dream. I would like to get there. We really desperately need to mow. I mean, everything is just, if you haven't seen, it's psychotic because it's been storming like every other day or every 2 days or something for like the last couple of weeks. And so everything's just like weed wise and grass has just exploded. But yeah, I haven't been home. But anyway, that's what's going on. We got Blondie over here in this garden bed. And we got tomatoes. So this is what I'm doing with these. And I will report to you and see if these work really well. Because if they do, I'm probably going to just, I mean, I bought them at the Dollar Tree. So they're $1.25 per basket, which is not bad. I think it cost me like $32 for all 24. All 24 plants. And so if this works, I can just reuse this every single year. And keep my tomatoes safe until they get established and stronger in the bed. And then once they reach like the trellis, now that trellis, this trellis is probably the highest one I have. But once they reach the trellis and I tie them on, there's no more concern about the chickens tearing the plants out. So anyway, yeah, so random hack. Blondie's down there terrorizing the bed still. What are you doing, Blondie? Little Blondie. Blondie chicken. Hello, madam. Anyway. Forgot to mention, so I'm showing you on these little ones. So these are the smaller baskets that are all the same as the waste paper baskets. But I bought these just to put over top of seedlings. Now granted, there's a ton of weeds in here that need to be dealt with. My chicken scratched out a bunch of my onions, which is unfortunate. But, like, I had them on here on top of my Kajari melons. And so I have a whole bunch I need to thin, but I want to let them get bigger first. But what I was going to say about these is that if your concern is like wind or storms or something blowing this out. The reason I got these with the mesh in particular is because if I wanted to, I could pick like the, what are they called? The stakes that I use for like the weed fabric, and put them through here and put them over this to stake them into the beds, and so they wouldn't come up. So that was the other reason that I got these, because I thought that would be smart for that purpose. So anyway, yeah. So if you have something that's trying to eat your seedlings that isn't like necessarily a bug, because a bug obviously isn't through there, this is a good idea for how to keep your like small plants from getting eaten. You know, obviously if you have like a ton of plants, this isn't really necessarily super cost effective, but as I said, I did all 24 tomato plants for like $32 for those baskets, and they're reusable, so I can use them year after year. So anyway.